Hello students, welcome to CS Academy. Today last we are discussing about the working of a reciprocating pump, and now in this class we will discuss about the suppose if the reciprocating pump is working properly. If the reciprocating pump it is sending water from the low level to the higher level, at that time what is the discharge you are getting, one parameter you have to calculate, and each and everything you have to supply electrical power. Whenever you are supplying electrical power, based on that what is the weight of your fluid per second. That means you have to calculate the weight of the fluid per second, and after that how much amount of power it is required. And in this process some slip will be there. First of all, why slip comes means because of that it is used for a very high head and low discharge. Whenever you are using a head is more, that means the slip will be more. That means more and more fluid is in the contact. Whenever the more and more fluid is in the contact, friction will be there. Because of the friction, the slip will comes to picture. Now in this class we will discuss about the what is the discharge you are getting from the outlet, and what is the weight of your fluid per second, and how much amount of electrical power is required to send the water. And these two send the water, it is depend upon the discharge and weight of a fluid. And finally you are getting a what is the slip. Already I told you slip because of you are sending water from lower level to higher level, it is used for very high head and low discharge. That means when a high head is there, slip will be there. That means what is the in because of slip what happens. Now we will discuss these four things in this class. First of all, you have to calculate the discharge. For the discharge, what is the formula? Actually discharge is equal to area into velocity, and otherwise you have to calculate the discharge is in terms of in volume flow rate. That means it is volume by time. That means this volume by time it is happens because of this in a how many revolutions. Actually if it is happens in one revolution. What is meant by one revolution? That means the crank here it is rotating. When the crank it is rotating in one revolution, how much amount of discharge you are getting. And suppose if the crank is not happens only in one revolution, the crank it is happens in n revolutions. That means what is in n revolutions, what is the discharge you are getting. That means just you cross multiply each other. That means V by T into N. That means discharge means finally your discharge you are getting for n revolutions is V by T into N. What is meant by V? V is known as volume. That means V by T into N. That means V by T, how you can write it as, actually volume means how you can represent, volume is equal to area into length. That means finally area into length n by T. Suppose if the T happens it is in 1 minute. That means in 1 minute means it is ALN by 60 seconds. That means finally what is the discharge you are getting is discharge equal to ALN by 60. That means this is the formula in whenever the reciprocating pump operates. That means this much amount of discharge you are getting. See here I am telling you from in this discharge equal to volume flow rate. Volume flow rate you can write it as volume by time. That means this volume by this much amount of discharge you are getting in one revolution. That means it is happens in one revolution. But for that it is not happens in only one revolution, it will happens in n revolutions. That means in n revolutions what is the discharge you are getting. That discharge means just you cross multiply each other, V by T into N. That means discharge equal to V by T into N. V is known as volume. Volume you can represent it as area into length, and area into length you can simply write it as area into length in n to n by t. That means it is if it is t, it is in time. In that time if it is happens in 1 minute, that means in 1 minute it will be happens in 2 revolutions or 3 revolutions. That means it will be ALN by 60 seconds. That means it is the discharge you are getting in ALN by 60, and these units will be in meter cube per second. This is the discharge formula you are getting in reciprocating pump whenever the pump operates in reciprocating manner. That means first here what is meant by area? Area is the cylinder area, or it is a piston area. Both are having similarly, just more or less small value. Piston area or cylinder area. What is L? L means it is a stroke length. What is meant by stroke length? The piston, it is moving from the inner dead center to the outer dead center. That means this length is called as stroke length. And this, in that, what, how you represent area? Area is equal to pi by 4 d square. What is meant by d? D is the cylinder diameter, or it is a piston diameter. This is the terms involved here. This is the finally, this is the, whenever you are operating in reciprocating pump, you will get that discharge. The discharge final formula is ALN by 60. And next we have to calculate the weight of the fluid. Whenever you calculating a weight of a fluid per second, that means it is happens with respect to time. That means weight of a fluid means weight by time. That means how you can represent weight by time? Simply you can write it as W is equal to mg by time. That means how you can write it as mg by time? You can represent actually density is equal to mass by volume. That means you can simply write it as, with the help of mass, density into volume you can write it as. That means in the place of mass we can simply represent density into volume into g by time. That means simply you can write it as, with the help of this, density into volume flow rate into g. That means what is meant by volume flow rate? Just now we are discussing that volume flow rate is represented as discharge. That discharge is equal to ALN by 60 into g. That means what is the weight of the fluid? Weight of the fluid equal to finally rho g into ALN by 60. That means this is the weight of a fluid. Sir, why you are calculating weight of the fluid? Means that means you have to supply electrical power. Whenever you are supplying electrical power, how much amount of weight of the fluid is there? Based on that only you have to supply electrical power. Now actually what is power? How much amount of power it is required? Power is equal to work done by time. Now what is work done? Work done is equal to force into displacement. What is that displacement here? In that displacement here, it is a combination of suction head and it is a combination of delivery head. That means up to here this is suction head, and this is here to here this is delivery head. That means this is a combination. What is that force here? Force, it is simply you can write it as, it is a weight of a fluid. Weight of a fluid with respect to time. That means finally power is equal to weight of a fluid into displacement. Displacement you can write it as simply it is a HS plus HD by time. That means now you can write it as, what is the weight of the fluid? Weight of the fluid is rho g ALN by 60 into displacement is HS plus HD. That means simply you can write it as this one. That means this is the weight of the fluid. That means see here, this is the weight of a fluid per second, and this is the weight of a fluid per second, and this is the weight of a fluid per second, and this is the discharge. Finally you will getting a discharge is, this is the formula. That means you can simply use this formula. That means what about the power equal to? Power is equal to rho g ALN by 60 into HS plus HD. This is the final formula. We will get it this is the this much amount of power it is required to sending water from lower level to the higher level. And next we will discuss about the slip. First of all, what is meant by slip? Slip, it is defined as a, actually here you are sending water from the suction head to the delivery head. That means this suction head to the delivery head, this is whenever the fluid is moving in this pipe, but that what happened, because of the goes on the contact area increases. When goes on the contact area increases, friction will be increases. When friction will be increases, that means you are getting value is less value compared to the discharge, theoretical discharge to the actual discharge. That means you are getting less value. That means actual discharge will be less value and theoretical discharge compared to the theoretical discharges. That why it is happens, and because of this friction. That means it is known as a slip. That means what is the difference between theoretical and actual. Actually, theoretically you are getting 100%, but actually you are not getting 100%. You are getting 70% or 60%. That means 30% is a slip. That means this is known as a slip. Actually, this slip may be classified as a three types. One is a positive slip, another one is a zero slip, another one is a negative slip. That means these are different types of slips will be there. Sir, what is positive slip? What positive slip means? If this value will be positive, that means suppose if Q theoretical it is greater than Q actual, this will be a positive slip. That means in some cases, suppose if very high head will be there, that means the actual value you are getting less value. That means actually suppose if theoretically you have to get 100%, actually you are getting 70%. That means this will be the slip will the what is the slip formula? Slip will be Q theoretical minus Q actual. What is that Q theoretical minus Q actual? 70 minus 100 minus 70, it will be 30. Whenever this value will be positive, and it is called as a positive slip. When positive slip will come here, that means when there is a high suction head and high discharge head, and that these levels will be high, the heads will be very high. At that time you will get it a positive slip. And when you are getting your zero slip means it is, if it is a zero slip is Q theoretical and it becomes Q actual. At that time what happens? It will be a zero slip. Sir, why when zero slip will comes here? That means if both heads, suction head is equal to delivery head, in some cases it will be zero slip will be possible. And suppose if some cases Q theoretical it may be greater than Q actual, when it will be occurs, this is known as negative slip. And when negative slip will occur, in that case Q actual will be more compared to the Q theoretical. When that particular case applicable, that means if it is if suppose if you are sending a water for a 2-floor apartment, easily you can send water for a 2-floor apartment. Why it is? That means the suction head will be very high and the delivery head will be very low. That means in that case the delivery head will be very low. That means because of this heads difference, the suction will be more and the delivery will be less. Because of these two differences, we are getting actually more value. Suppose if 2 floors apartment, its requirement is a 20 kiloliters, you will send a nearly 25 kiloliters also. It's possible. That means you are getting actual value is more value. That case, that compared to the theoretical, you are getting actual value is more value. This is called as a negative slip. See here, finally what is meant by slip means it is this is a differentiation of differences in discharges, that is compared to the theoretical and actual. This is a false and a only based on a discharges. Suppose if you want to find out what is the percentage of slip equal to Q theoretical minus Q actual divided by Q theoretical, you will get this what is the percentage of slip happens here. This is the introduction to the slip, and this is the introduction to the what is the discharge you are getting finally, and what is the weight of your fluid for getting, and what is the power you are getting, and what is meant by slip. Thank you for the watching. Please subscribe and share it to your friends.